geometry that if we have a terminal arm and a radius, all right, centered at the origin, if that radius turns in a circle or turns around like that, we have a circle that has been drawn. Okay, so for this, if we wanted to work out anything together, it's a very badly drawn circle on my part. But in order to be able to work out the length of the hypotenuse or a coordinate at a particular point, or whatever the case was, we were working with the idea that x squared plus y squared equals r squared. And that is in fact the equation for a circle that is centered at the origin. That's where it comes from. So it links back to what we know from trig and our terminal arm. However, in the trick, we don't focus on circles that are centered at the origin. You might see it occasionally, but you're going to focus on circles that are not centered at the origin. So in other words, they have been shifted, okay, translated, either left or right, as well as up and down, okay? And in most cases, it's a translation of both. Okay, so it's a horizontal translation and a vertical translation. And what we're going to do this lesson is we're going to look at how that affects the formula that we're going to be using, and what we have to substitute in where, and the different kinds of questions that they can give us as well. Okay, so that's where it comes from. Before we get started, I just wanted to remind you again, all right, that this is quadrant number 1. Okay, and in quadrant number 1, our x coordinates are positive and so are our y coordinates. This is quadrant number 2, and here x is negative and y is positive. This is quadrant number 3, and here both x and y are negative. And then this is quadrant number 4, and here x is positive, but y is negative. Okay, so important that we know which are the quadrants and what the signs of our coordinates are in those quadrants. Okay, let's go back and have a look at this. So there are basically 2 essential points that define a circle matrix. Okay, so the 2 essential points is a point that we refer to as the center. Okay, so it is defined by having a center, which I'm highlighting in yellow over there. And then it is also defined by the radius. And the radius is essentially how far away a set of points are from the circle. All right, so they will all be the same distance. And that is referred to as the radius. Okay, and that is what creates the circumference of our circle, is the fact that all of these points, now this was me drawing the points over here, a point there, a point there, a point there. They are all the same distance. Can you see what I'm doing down in orange here? They are all the same distance from the center of the circle. So it's the same idea with this. All these points that are used to create this circle, okay, they're all going to be the same, the same distance from the center. Okay, very important, your radius is a length. Okay, and as a length, it is always going to be a positive quantity. All right, so if we have a look at the circle alongside that I have just scribbled all over, all right, it is defined by the following points. Okay, so C is the center, and at C we have a pair of coordinates A and B. A is the x coordinate and B is the y coordinate. P is a point on the circle, all right, and the distance from C to P is r, the length of the radius, right? So what we do in order to create a circle, or the equation of a circle where it is not centered at the origin, is we take into account that there has been this movement left or right or up or down, and that's where x minus a plus y minus b squared equals r squared comes from. All right, so it is in fact our x squared plus y squared equals r squared, but we account for this shift left and right by going x minus a squared, so we're subbing the a in here, And then as far as the movement up and down is concerned, that's why we have y minus b squared is equal to r squared. So in this form, in center radius form, it is important to note, okay, that A and B are the coordinates at the center of the circle, but they change their sign. Okay, so whilst they are, or it could be negative or positive inside the bracket, it will be an opposite sign when we are writing them down. Okay, X and Y are X and Y coordinates. So that would be X and Y over here. So like at point P, for example, points that lie, let me just highlight them, points that lie on the circumference of the circle. A and B, I don't know if you can see the difference in the pink and the purple. It's a little bit light. If I just highlight that purple, there's your B and your A. And then the quantity that is defined on the right-hand side is r squared. Okay, so that is the length of the radius multiplied by itself. Okay, so r squared. Very important that we don't forget that. Okay, so now that we've spoken about the equation of a circle not centered at the origin, let's have a look at the first sort of question that you give us, all right? So in this case, sorry, I just want to make this a little bit bigger. There we go, now it's in the right place. In the next example, in the first example rather, we want to determine the equation of a circle with a center at 2 and -3 and a radius of 8 units. This is a very simple question. All they want us to do is to sub into the equation of the circle that has been provided, right? So what we would do is this matrix, okay? First of all, okay, we're going to write down x minus, and here we've got x minus positive 2 squared plus y minus, and this is -3 squared is equal to 8 squared. So just simplifying the y bracket and the 8 squared, we would end up with x minus 2 squared plus y plus 3 squared is equal to 64. Okay, that's quite easy, isn't it? That's not difficult. Are there any questions at this point? Everybody feeling good? Okay, I'll take your silence as that you are all right, and that if you've got any questions, you will interrupt me and you will stop. Okay, so that's how we would write down the equation of the center of the circle when it's not centered at the origin. We know the coordinates at the center, we know the length of the radius, easy peasy. Now, the next question is a little bit more difficult, okay? Determine the equation of a circle having center at -5 and 3 and passing through 3 and 9, okay? So now they have not given us the length of the radius, right? So in order to be able to work out r squared, we're going to have to use distance formula to work out the length of, let's give it a name in this case. I should have given this a name. Let's call that C and let's call that T. Okay, so we need distance formula. All right, so distance formula, if you may or may not recall, okay, is the difference between the x's squared plus the difference between the y's squared, and that will be on your formula sheet. Okay, you should be fairly familiar with it by now. All right, so therefore the distance from C to T is, let's sub in. Okay, so if I say 3 plus 5 squared plus 9 minus 3 squared, that's all I need to do. When you use distance formula matrix, you just need to show that you've subbed into it, right? That's very important. And then you can pick up your calculator and you can go ahead and go and work out what the answer is. All right, but there will definitely be a mark for subbing in and then a mark for the answer. Don't waste your time trying to simplify any of it. Just put it straight into the calculator and work out what the answer is. Okay, so I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm getting 10 as an answer. Okay, so now that we know that the length of the radius is 10 units, we can go straight into x minus a squared plus y minus b squared equals r squared. All right, so in this case, we have got x, and I'm taking a shortcut here, minus minus is a plus, and y minus 3 squared, and that's going to be equal to 10 squared, which is going to give me 100. All right, is that good? Is everybody all right with that? Cool. All right, so now I'm going to go down a little bit further, right? So I just wanted to mention this to you, all right? So something else that you need to be aware of is that you might sometimes have to resort to other measures to calculate the length of the radius. So just be aware of the fact that the diameter is always 2 times the radius, just in case something like that comes up. Yes.
Can you please go back?
You want to go back? Sorry. Sorry, Njibulo. There you go. Did I do that too quickly?
Yes.
Sorry. It's fine. No problem. I'll give you a couple of minutes.
I'm done, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Njibulo. You know what? There was probably other people that also thought I was going too fast. So I'm glad you asked. No problem. All right. Is it okay if I move on, everyone? I presume if it's not, you'll tell me. Okay, but yeah, if I go too fast, just let me know, and then I'm happy to go back. Okay. All right, so yes, just remember that sometimes you have to resort to other measures for calculating the length of the radius. So sometimes they might give you the diameter, which you would then have to halve in order to get the radius, etc., etc. So this just ties back to what I was saying at the beginning of the lesson. For a circle that is centered at the origin, because the coordinates at the center are 0, 0, when we sub in 0 and 0, that's why we would end up with x squared plus y squared equals r squared, is the equation of the circle with its center at the origin. We don't really see that very much in matric. We are going to be working with these translations. So in its form, x minus a squared plus y minus b squared equals r squared, we refer to this as center radius form. Okay, and the reason that we call it center radius form is because it allows us to directly determine the coordinates at the center and the length of the radius from the equation. All right, so for example, if I want to calculate the coordinates at the center and the length of the radius, and the circle has been defined by x minus 7 squared plus y plus 10 squared equals 49, it's very easy for me. Okay, so I can just read the coordinates from the information that is given to me. So the coordinates at the center, remember they change sign. Okay, so it's going to be positive 7 and negative 10. So that's the x coordinate at the center, that's the y coordinate at the center. If r squared is equal to 49, remember r is always a positive quantity, okay, because it's a distance, it means that the length of the radius is going to be 7 units in this case. Okay, all right, easy enough there as well. I'll just wait a second or two before I move down. Yeah, good asking, Nicole. Is there anybody that's got any questions? We all good? Yes, Bochepo?
Ma'am, when it comes to this type of question for analytical geometry, will there be these type of questions when it comes to prelims or finals, or would it be like a little bit more difficult?
It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot more difficult, Bochepo. It's going to be a lot more difficult. But in order to be able to do that difficult work with you, I first need to make sure that we all understand these basic concepts and principles.
Okay.
But the questions are going to be a lot more difficult. This is just the me laying the foundations, explaining what things mean and how it works and that kind of stuff. But I promise you, we're going to work our way up to those more difficult questions.
Okay.
Not this lesson, but I am going to try and do, this lesson is more sort of an introductory lesson, but from the next lesson on, we're going to be looking at stuff that's going to be quite considerably more difficult than this. Okay.
Thank you,
All
ma'am.
right, cool. No problem. All right. So now let's come and have a look at our traffic lights over here. You don't have to do everything. All right. So my suggestion to you, it's a lot of work, but my suggestion to you is try 2 of the questions from exercise 1. All right, so if you want to do something that's really easy, then you could do either question 1.1 or 1.2. Those are sort of a little bit more simple. Then with 1.3 and 1.4, those are sort of about the same. They're a little bit more of a challenge, although not much more. And the last one over here, 1.5, just gives you a bit of different information. So it tells you that it's passing through the circle at 4. So what I'd like you to do is as follows, right? I'd like you to pick 1 pink, 1 blue, and then to try question 1.5, okay? I would also like all of you to try question 2. All right, and then I'm going to be quiet together with Nicole, and then I'm going to wait 5 minutes, and then we're going to go through some answers. Okay. All right, everybody good? All right, all right. I'll be quiet. You go and do that. Yeah, we're going to share our answers, Tisha. So yeah, if you want to pop them in the chat, that's fine. Or we can just wait another couple of minutes and just see where everybody else is at. How are you guys doing? Are you finished? One pink, one blue, and 1.5, and then we're going to try question 2. Do you still need a little bit more time?
Yes, ma'am, just a little bit more time.
Okay, so no problem. All right.
Done, ma'am.
Awesome, Tatso. Thank you. Yeah, the rest of you, when you're done, you can either just unmute and tell me that you're done, or you can put done in the chat. The choice is yours. Okay, cool. So Tisha, you also done. Good job. So is Thelma. Nice. Thank you, Thelma.
Done, ma'am.
Thanks, Kanyisile. Thanks, Maite. Thanks, Ryle. And Bochepo and Injabulo. Good. Thanks, Katleho. Thanks, Lesedi and Zianda. Cool, you guys are all sort of finishing at the same time. Okay, so let's share some of our answers, and please don't be worried if you got something wrong. It's honestly, it's not a big deal at all. We're all just here to learn, and there is certainly no judgment at all. Is there anybody who'd like to share their answer for 1.1? What did you guys get? Thanks, Kolofelo and Pilo. Anybody want to share an answer?
1.1, ma'am.
Go for 1.1, if that's okay, Njibulo. What did you get?
I got open bracket x minus 2 close bracket squared plus open bracket y plus 3 close bracket squared is equals to 16.
That's what I got as well. Okay, so I think that's perfect. Well done. Lovely. Thank you for sharing your answer with us. That's great work. All right, anybody want to share 1.2?
Ma'am, 1.2, I got x plus y, all that squared.
X plus?
Oh, sorry, minus.
Oh, minus.
Y.
Did you say 1? Y?
No, y. All that squared.
Just hang on a second. Let me just write that down. So, sorry, are you saying x minus y?
Oh, yeah.
Squared. Okay.
49.
Equals 9.
49.
Equals 49. Okay, now I agree with you that it equals 49. What I don't agree with is, unfortunately, is what you've written over here. Okay, Tisha, what we need to do is this. x minus y squared, let me just write this on the side. Okay, so x minus y squared is not the same as x squared plus y squared. Okay, if you square the binomial on the left, it's not the same thing. You'd end up with x squared minus 2xy plus y squared. All right, so you'd end up with that middle term over there. So you must write it as x squared plus y squared. All right, so here we would have written x squared plus y squared equals 49. Okay, Tisha, but I'm so glad you shared your answer with us. Okay, that's cool. But you know, this is great because when you make mistakes, this is how you learn. Okay, so I'm thrilled that you were able to do that. Okay, 1.3. Yeah.
I'm a bit confused how they calculated the radius, how they got 16 and 49.
Sure. Okay, so in question number 1, is that you, Tatsuo?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in question number 1, Tatsuo, can you see here I'm highlighting it in pink? The radius is 4.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
if r is equal to 4, then it means that r squared is going to be 4 squared, which is 16.
Okay.
Okay. And it's the
Because,
same
ma'am,
as
I
the
put
question.
a square root instead of.
Okay. All right. So yeah, no, it's supposed to be a square, not a square root. Okay. And it's the same with 7. 7 squared is 49. Okay. All right, then in question 1.3, well, I'll tell you what, I'll share my answer with you and you guys tell me whether you got this. I got x minus 1 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 36. That's what I got. Do you agree? Anyone get a different answer?
No, ma'am, that's what I got.
Is that what you got as well? Okay. Let's just see if there's anybody putting anything in the chat. Pilo, you got that too. Okay. You got the same Tabile. All right. And Tisha. All right, cool. All right. Well, then I know
Ma'am,
I
I
was
almost
right.
asked you where did you get the 36, but then I saw that I made a mistake. I wrote -1 instead of -5.
Oh, okay. All right. So yes, I worked out that the distance from...
How we got that answer?
Sorry, Raul, did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, can you show us how you got that answer for 1.3?
Yes, of course, with pleasure. Okay. So in 1.3, this is what I did. Okay. So I said that I need to work out the distance from the center to this point. So I'm just going to call the point T as well. So distance CT. All right. So that's going to be the change in X. So that's going to be 1 plus 5 plus the change in y, which is going to be -2 minus -2, so that will be +2 squared like that. Does that make sense, Raul?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. And then when I picked up my calculator and I worked out the answer to that, I got 6. Please double check me because I definitely make mistakes. I could be wrong, but...
Ma'am, that's correct.
Is that correct? Okay. So then, Raul, what I did is I said, okay, so the coordinates at the center are 1 and -2, right? So that means I'm going to say x minus 1 squared plus y minus -2. So that's going to be y plus 2 squared is equal to 6 squared. Remember, it's r squared. So this distance CT is in fact R, and that's where I got the 36 from.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Pleasure, no problem. Okay, cool. Then for question 1.4, is there anyone who wants to share an answer with us? Are you guys feeling shy? Okay, well, I'll tell you what I got. All right, so I ended up with x squared plus y squared equals 20. Do you agree? You guys get that too?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, so the same. You also got that. Cool. Thanks, Thelma. Thanks, Kumo. Who else said yes? And Tisha. Cool. All right, lovely. And then in 1.5, this is what I got. I got an answer of x minus 3 squared. Sorry, it's a square. badly written by me. Y minus 4 squared is equal to, I got 81. Do you agree?
Ma'am, would you please explain 1.5?
Oh, with pleasure. Okay, so this is what I did in 1.5. So the coordinates at the center are 3 and 4, and the coordinates of t, a point on the circumference, the y-axis at 4. So that means that x is equal to 0 when y is equal to 4. And then I worked out the distance of CT, so in other words, the length of the radius, using distance formula. So if I work out the change in x's, so 3 minus 0 squared, plus the change in y's, 4 minus 4 squared, that gave me a radius, a radius of 9. Okay, so then when it came to me writing the equation of a circle, remember these coordinates over here at C were the coordinates at the center. So that's why I went x minus 3 squared plus y minus 4 squared is equal to r squared. So if r is 9, then 9 times 9 is 81.
Ma'am, the radius is 3.
Is it?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. I got the same answer.
What, the
I
radius
said
is 3?
Yeah, not 9.
I also got the same answer, ma'am.
Okay, then maybe I made a mistake, but I'm just looking here, 3 minus 0 is 3, and 3 squared is 9. Oh, sorry. You see, I do make mistakes. Sorry, stupid me. You're quite right. Thanks, guys. That is a 3. Okay, so then that's not 81. That's going to be 9, like so. Yeah. Okay, quite right. You know what I do when at school, when I make a mistake like that, I tell the boys I did it on purpose to see who was paying attention. So I'm gonna claim the same thing here. I did it on purpose to see who was paying attention. Okay, good job, well done. Yeah, and then the last one, question number 2. I hope I didn't make any mistakes here. This is what I got. Or is there somebody else who wants to share an answer for question 2?
I think Trish still wants to know how you got 1.4, Lee.
Oh, sorry. And I see Kumo, you've also raised your hand. Kumo will come back to you. Sorry, Tisha, what did you want to know? Is it in the chat? Oh, you got confused by 1.4. Do you want me to do that one quickly? Tisha, should we just do it quickly? All right, so the center is at the origin. So let me just write that down. Okay, so the center, the center is at the origin and it passes through the point. So let's call it T. It passes through the point -4 and 2. Okay, so, oh, sorry, it's Trish, not Tisha. Sorry. I haven't got my glasses on. So I'm not, I can't see properly. Yes, Trisha, not Tisha. Sorry, my apologies. Okay, so Trisha, or Trish, let's do this. Okay, so we need to work out the length of the radius. So in other words, the distance from C to T using distance formula. So that is the change in x's. So 0 minus -4 will be 0 plus 4, plus the change in y's. So that's 0 minus 2 squared. Okay, and then for that, I got 20. So 16 plus 4 is 20. Oh, hang on a second. So that's root 20, isn't it? Okay, because 20 is not a perfect square. And then when it was centered at the origin, remember it's going to be x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared is equal to r squared. Okay, so that's why I ended up with x squared plus y squared equals 20. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so Kumo, you say, lovely, I'm so glad you shared your answer with us. So in the chat, Kumo has shared, perfect, Trish. Colofelo, did you get the same answer? Colofelo, you got a slightly different answer. I got the same answer as you, Kumo. I got x plus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 2. For number 2, I got the same answer as you. Anybody else get the same answer as Kumo there? Would you guys like me to do question 2?
Yes, please, ma'am.
Okay, so Kumo, how did you work out the coordinates at the center?
So, ma'am, I calculated the midpoint by
Good.
using the coordinates of A and B to get the center.
Lovely, Kumo. I'm so glad to hear you say that. Okay, that's brilliant. All right, so Kumo realized that the endpoints of the diameter, remember, oh, maybe I should turn my pen on. If that's a circle, a horrible circle drawn by me, and that's the circle center, right? And if you've got a diameter, then point A could be over here, whilst point B could be over there. All right, so they are the endpoints of the diameter. So using midpoint formula to calculate the coordinates at the center is exactly the right thing to do. Okay, Kumo, that was lovely. And that's how I did this as well. Okay, so the x coordinate at the center or at the midpoint is going to be 0 plus -2. So that'll be minus 2 over 2, which gives us minus 2 over 2, which is -1. The y coordinate at the center is going to be 1 plus 3 over 2. Remember, midpoint formula is plus, not minus. Okay, so that gives us 4 over 2, which is 2. So the coordinates at the center are -1 and 2. Okay, and then of course you need the length of the radius. So as far as working out, oh my gosh, sorry, my cat's just stood on this. Can everybody still see everything?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, sorry, he just stood on the mouse and everything disappeared for a second. Okay, so now in order to calculate, yeah, that would have been a bit of a disaster. In order to calculate the length of the radius, I guess there's a couple of things that we could do here, all right? So our first option is we could use the coordinates at the center and one of the endpoints of the diameter, or we could work out the length of AB and divide it by 2. What else could we do? I think that would be about it in this case. What did you do, Kumo? How did you work out that the radius?
So, ma'am, after getting the coordinates for the center, I substituted one of the points with the center coordinates and then into the r squared formula, and then I got the radius, and then from there I substituted the center to get the equation.
Absolutely. Oh yes, absolutely. That would be another way that we could do this as well. So, oh yes, I like that, what you've just said. So that's another way we can do this. Look here, all right. If we use, let's turn the pen on. If we use, come on, if we use x minus a squared plus y minus b squared equals r squared, right? Look at this. This is what Kumo did. This is lovely, okay? So x, so we know that minus a, we know that the coordinate at the center as far as the x is concerned is going to be +1. As far as the b is concerned, that's going to be y minus 2 equals r squared. And now look here, you have 2 points, either a or b, that you can use as a corresponding x or y in order to be able to sub in. So now you could use a or b, it doesn't matter. So when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 1. And that gives us r squared. Okay, so this is going to be 1 plus 1, and that would give us our 2, which is equal to r squared. Okay, so that's another way that we could do it. Right, lovely, Kumo, well done. So therefore, the equation of this particular circle, it is going to be the line x plus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 2. Okay, how does that feel, everybody? Is that okay? That makes sense? Are we all good? Cool, can you see it? Thank you. Okay, so the next activity is really, really super simple. I don't even think we need to. Yes, absolutely, Kulani. That's one of the ways we could have done it as well. 100%. Yeah, that's how I did it as well, Kulani, when I did it. I didn't do it Kumo's way, but you can do it that way too. Yes, did somebody else want to ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure, Tatsu, go for it.
I saw that in exercise 1, we put a square by 2. Do we not put square by the answer here, or do we just leave it as 2 since it is 3?
See, the thing is that 2 is r squared.
Oh, okay.
So when we're working with it in this form, when we're subbing into the equation of the circle, the answer that we get is r squared. If we used distance formula, then we would still have to square our answer. Okay, but here r squared is 2. Okay, so that's why I'm not squaring it again.
Okay.
Okay, all right. I think what we could do is actually do something like this orally. It really is such a sort of simple thing. I tell you what, who's not said anything? Jamie. All right, pick one, Jamie. Which question do you want to do? 3.1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Pick one.
.4.
3.4. Awesome. Okay, so Jamie has picked 3.4. Okay, good job. And Jamie, I would like you to tell me, this is the one we're going to do, what the coordinates at the center are for this particular circle.
Calculate.
Do you know, Jamie? You still thinking?
I'm still thinking, ma'am.
Okay, so with this particular question, all right, the coordinates at the center would be, does anybody else know before I tell you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what would you say, Oratilwe?
The coordinates are 0, 0.
They are indeed. Okay, what's the length of the radius?
5.
5 units. Good, lovely, well done. Okay, Cassandra. Okay, I see you were also going to answer earlier. Why don't you do 3.2 for us? Tell us, what are the coordinates at the center? And the length of the radius.
-1 and -2.
-1 and -2. Good, Cassandra. So this circle has been shifted to the left and down. What's the length of the radius?
7.
7. Lovely. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so that's how we can use center radius form, okay, to read the coordinates at the center and the length of the radius. Incidentally, in 3.5, can you see, Leah, do you want to do that one for us? 3.5, what are the coordinates at the center?
Ma'am, -3 and 0.
Beautiful.
And our R is √10.
Lovely. Excellent, Kanyasili. Well done. That's nice. Okay, guys, so you see how that works. All right, it's quite straightforward. Now, I was going to do that with you, but I kind of wanted to do this question. Bearing in mind tonight, You've got to do the quiz tonight as well, okay, because it's the first week. So we'll do the quiz tonight. Nicole, I've still got a little bit of time that I can talk, hey?
Yeah, I think you have some time, Lee.
All right, lovely. Because I just wanted to show you something a little bit different here. So I'll just whip through this quickly. All right, so we've got the center of the circle at M has the coordinates 3 and -4. So this circle has been moved to the right and down. Okay, that's why it's a positive A and a negative B value. All right, is the center of the circle which cuts the x-axis at A and B and the y-axis at C and D. The circle passes through the point N, 7 and -6, another point in the fourth quadrant. The first thing that they want us to do is calculate the equation of the circle. Right, so now you can see it's a little bit more sort of application of what we were talking about earlier. What would we do? How would we work out the equation of the circle? What do we need to do here?
First find the radius.
First find the radius. How, Cassandra?
By using the distance formula.
Exactly, by using the distance formula and calculating the length of MN, the radius. Okay, so let's just do that very quickly. This is what we've been practicing this lesson. So the change in the x's squared plus the change in the y's. And that gives us a radius. You guys work it out as well. Just double check me that I haven't made a mistake. Are you getting 2√5?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so that's the length of the radius. So therefore, the center of the equation of the circle, I beg your pardon, it has to be x minus 3 squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 2√5. And very, very important, matrix, that whole thing needs to be squared. Okay, so 2√5 must be squared. If you put it into your calculator without the brackets, your calculator will only square the √5. It won't square the 2. All right, so you've got to be very careful of that. All right, so 2√5 squared leaves us with, do you get 20?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the equation of the circle x minus 3 squared plus y plus 4 squared is equal to 20. Good. So we're all smiling and happy. We've got the equation of the circle. Now they want us to calculate the coordinates at A and B. How do you think we would do that? What do A and B represent?
Your
X.
It's your x-intercepts. Okay. Your x-intercepts. And for the x-intercept of anything, okay, this is not a function, but for the x-intercept of any shape or graph, what do? We let
Y.
Exactly, we let y be equal to 0. Okay, so now that we've got the equation of our circle, we can go ahead and let y be equal to 0. So this gives us x minus 3 squared plus 0 plus 4 squared is equal to 20. Very, very important, matrix. So often where you guys go wrong is with stuff like this, squaring this binomial. It is not x squared plus 9 or x squared minus 9. Remember, there has to be a middle term. Okay, so we get x squared minus 6x plus 9 when we square the binomial. Right, then here we've got plus 16 minus 20 is equal to 0. Let's get it into standard form. So that gives us x squared minus 6x. And in this case, 9 plus 16 would give us 25. And 25 minus 20 would leave us with positive 5. Okay, now we want to factorize. So in this case, our factors are both going to have to be negative. So it can only be -5 times -1, which means that either x is equal to 1 or x is equal to 5. And that's what we expected. We expected two positive answers because both A and B sit on the positive x-axis. All right, so that means that at A, the coordinates are 1 and 0, and at B, the coordinates are 5 and 0. Right. Just very, very quickly, if they wanted us to calculate the length of CD, what are they asking us to do here, Matrix? The length of CD. What is the length? Okay, so the difference between the y-intercepts. Okay, so for the y-intercepts, we would let?
X be 0.
Exactly, we would let x be 0, 100%. Okay, so let's just fly through that. So in number 3, we now want to let x be 0, so that means we've got 0 minus 3 squared plus, and then I'm just going to square the binomial just to save us a little bit of time. So that's y squared plus 8y plus 16 minus 20 equals 0. So that gives us y squared plus 8y, and now again we've got 9 plus 16 minus 20, so that would be plus 5, is that right?
Yep.
Have I done that correctly? 9, 16 minus 20.
Yes. 9
Okay,
minus 5.
now why? Oh, okay, but hang on a second. It did say
-4.
rounded off to 2 decimal places. Okay, so that means that this doesn't factorize. Okay, so if something doesn't factorize, what do we have to do?
Use the quadratic formula.
Use the quadratic formula. Okay, so y is going to be equal to negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, and therefore y equals, hang on a second, let me just put in my calculator. Okay, so I get -4 root 11, sorry, plus 11, or -4 minus root 11. Okay, so now we'll just have a look here. Both of those would have to be negatives. All right, so if we round this one off, we get -7,31, and we are supposed to work with all of these decimal points, which is a bit of a pain in the bum with this question. And then this one over here, let's just get back there. Okay, so this one was -0,6833752,096. Okay, so that means that this has to be C, right? Okay, that would have to be the coordinate at C. And this would have to be the coordinate at D. And then this long number over here. So then the length of CD would be this value over here, the purple one, minus that value over there. Okay, rounded to 2 decimal places. So that leaves us with, they will never ask you something like this in an exam. All right, I didn't realize that it was going to be quite like 5096 minus 7.31662479 gives us a length of, I get, let's just change that, I get 6,63 units. Okay. So that's it. It's our hour up. Are you all right, Matrix? Was that okay? You understand? Is everybody happy? Any questions? Thanks, Camille. At what level would this question be? Pilo, this is not a difficult question, to be honest with you. It's a bit of a silly question, actually, but I would say level 2.
Ma'am, how much should the whole question be out of?
Well, finding the equation of the circle would probably be out of 3 marks. This sort of thing would be out of 3. Then here there would be a mark for the 0, the mark for the factors, and then the mark for the answers. So that would probably also be out of 3. And then here for that would have been subbing in the factors. Maybe this one would have been out of 4. So what's that? That's 10 marks. 10 marks in total.
Oh, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. All right. All right. All right, my lovelies. Well, we shall see you next time on Thursday. Good luck with the quiz. I hope you. I hope it goes well for you. Okay, and we'll see you next time.